The last time there were elections held among Palestinians, 2006, Hamas won. So the Palestinian Authority, which is dominated by Fatah, is inherently illegitimate in democratic terms. Mahmoud Abbas is now in what, the 18th year of his 4-year term. This is not anyone with credibility among his own people. When he visited the refugee camp at Jenin, which had been in the West Bank, which had been savaged by the Israeli occupation forces, he had to be accompanied by 1,000 soldiers. This is not a man with any legitimacy, and the idea that somehow the Palestinian Authority will be re-legitimized and moved into Gaza to govern it or help govern it, which is the White House idea,
And the
rejected
New
by
York Times.
and the New York. Well, sometimes they're about the same, you see.
Yeah.
I mean, the question is the New York Times an independent medium, or is it a scribe for American political elite? I think it's probably the latter at this point. Anyway, the point is here that if there is to be any legitimacy in governing Palestinians, that must be the result of a Palestinian choice, not an Israeli choice, not an American choice. And the statements that you hear from Americans that Hamas cannot be part of the future are arrogant and deeply undemocratic. They are a reflection of the strange situation, again, in some ways paralleling South Africa and apartheid, in which a democratic government, and the Afrikaner government was very democratic, very responsive to parliamentary votes and so forth, is also a tyranny over other people, a democratic tyranny. And that is the situation in Israel, where you have I'd say Israel proper, including Gaza, in which you have 4 kinds of subjects: Israeli Jews who are full citizens, Arab Israelis who are second-class citizens and denied the resources and the rights that their Jewish counterparts have, people in the West Bank who are under martial law and subjected to a Kafkaesque system of pass controls and checkpoints, barred from the use of roads in their own territory, and continuously expelled from their lands. And finally, Gaza, which was, an open-air concentration camp, a prison, if you will, from which Hamas briefly escaped on October 7th, but which has been constantly subject to what the Israelis have called mowing the grass, meaning eliminating anyone who has any ability to resist Israeli control. It has also been starved. It's been kept on starvation rations. Now it is actually starving as a matter of deliberate Israeli policy, as part of the genocide. So this is a very complex system, far more complex than apartheid in South Africa ever was. And I must say, even less attractive than the South African system was, unattractive as it was.
I don't believe the Palestinian Authority is a factor anymore. The Palestinian Authority, they're so despised, so hated by the Palestinian people that they are just very visibly agents, subcontractors for the Israelis, and they're not in my opinion, a political factor. They're a bureaucracy that serves.
In Gaza, when you said they are not a political factor, or in West Bank?
Anywhere. They're a bureaucracy, they're an administration. But in terms of their strategy, their tactics, there's nothing. They just collect paychecks to repress the Palestinians, and also to enable the wheels of daily life to continue. They staff the administration, the bureaucracy that keeps the wheels turning each day. But in terms of a strategy or a tactics of a political movement, they're just observers on the sidelines. They have nothing to do with anything.
Are you talking about the top leadership, or are you talking about the whole of organization itself?
Well, there is nothing. There is in the Palestinian administration.
Mhm.
It takes up about 25% of the population of the West Bank is somehow employed, not somehow, is factually employed by the Palestinian Authority. It's an administration. But normally, when you speak about administrations, you don't talk about tactics or strategy. There's no political movement. They just collect paychecks to make life serviceable in the occupied Palestinian, in the West Bank. So I consider them a complete irrelevance. Abbas is, remember, Abbas at the peak of his intellectual acuity wrote a doctoral dissertation denying the Nazi Holocaust. Now that was at his mental peak. And now he's 88 years old. He's a corpse. He's sometimes I think he's just kept artificially alive by Israel. I'm not even sure if he's even a boss. It may just be a puppet with some artificial intelligence functioning as the head of state. When Blinken goes to him, do you think they talk about anything of substance, or it's just a photo op? So to talk about him as having the Palestinian Authority as being a factor, to my thinking, is ridiculous.
Hi, my name is Ayushman. I, along with Jyotisman, have started this platform. In the last 2 years, we have tried to build content for the left and progressive forces. We have interviewed economists, historians, political commentators, and activists so far. If you have liked our content so far and want us to build an archive for the left, I have two requests for you. Please do consider donating for the cause. Link is in the description below. Also, if you are not able to do so, don't feel sad. You can always like our videos and share our videos to your comrades. Finally, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.